Today we're going to be doing two things. We're going to be talking about this botany unit through The Good and the Beautiful. I'm going to teach you how to put it together. And also it's going to be an overview of this unit so that you can have an idea if you want to get this for your children. Let's go over our supplies needed to put this all together. First, it's a good idea to have some scissors, a stapler, a binder. This is what we're going to be putting our unit into, and some sheet protectors. We're going to just need a few of those. And also I like a cutting board. I'm going to go ahead and grab out a few of these sheet protectors so I can get ready to start on this. I personally like the physical unit that you can purchase through The Good and the Beautiful. And when they sent this to me, they added an extra page onto the back that wasn't inside of their unit. And this is to replace a certain page on the inside of the unit. And it tells you which page number it is. So I'm just pulling this off and trying to snip off this tape that they put on it. And I'm going to set this to the side because when I get to that part in the book, we'll just make sure and replace it with that page. So personally, I think there's a cost savings when getting this unit in a physical form, because usually it only runs between like $20 to $30 from them. Or they do have where you can purchase just their PDF download. But then I would be spending so much money on ink and printing and paper that this to me makes more sense. It comes all together and I just have to put it together. So to start, I put the first page and I put it in the front of my binder so that my binder looks ready to go and I can grab the correct binder when we do our science lesson during the week. And as you can notice, I've already made the very first protector sheet for my unit. So I like to go front and back. This way I use up less protective sheets and it just is simple and it puts the unit together pretty fast. So far, I've put in our table of contents, which is on page 1, and that goes over the unit information, supplies needed, which page is for the notes about this unit, plant studies, vocabulary, and all the lessons. Then, there is the page on supplies needed, and I go into more detail in that later in this video. These are our vocabulary words for botany that you will be using throughout the unit as you're teaching. So we're going to go ahead and put these into protective sheets too in the order that it comes in your packet. I like that they show little pictures to go with some of these vocabulary words, like the word pollination, and they have this cute little bee image getting pollen, or they have ones on evergreen trees or deciduous trees, and then it shows an example. That really helps kids to know what they're looking at when we're talking about vocabulary words and have something to correlate it with. So after you're done putting in the vocabulary words, it immediately goes into the lessons. There's 13 lessons total. This is lesson 1. What is botany? Right at the top, it says what the objectives are for this lesson. Help the children understand the majesty and importance of the creation of plants, along with understanding what botany is and what botanists do. Oh, and we have a mini book that we need to put together for this lesson. I also love all these quotes that they added. I've actually already personally done this lesson with my kids and they really enjoyed it. So, and we're going to put together a mini book as well. So first I'm putting together the pretty little quotes and I put these in the protective sheets, and when I got to the lesson, I actually needed to cut these out. But I don't worry about it when I'm putting the unit together, like right now. I just go ahead and put it all in the protective sheets. The only thing I prep right now as I'm doing this is the mini books, and that just really makes it go faster. So when I open up for the day, for the lesson, you know, the mini books are done, and if I have to cut out 1 or 2 things, no big deal. Okay, here's our mini book for the lesson, Early Botanists. And there's actually a little line right in the center. It shows you where to cut for making this mini book. So it's a dotted line right across. Just grab all the pages that you need, and this is when I go over to my cutting board and we're going to just slice it. Makes it go a lot faster, and just get this done right at this point. They are printed in order, so it makes it easier when you chop one page in half. The beginning, page is on the top, page, the next page is right below it, so and so forth as you go through this. So that just makes it really quick. So you've got like page 3 and 4 or page 5 and 6. And then just put it together, stack it all up, and double check that all the pages are in the right order before we go ahead and staple the whole thing together on the side. I like to just go ahead and find the page that has the mini book and then put my mini book right inside that same protective sheet so that it's all together and I don't have to waste like another protective sheet. Makes it really fast for when I go to the lesson. Okay, this is lesson 2 that I'm putting together. It's called The Life Cycle of a Plant. The objectives for this lesson is help the children learn the life cycle of a plant and begin their own seed growing experiment. What's nice is at the very beginning of each lesson, it can tell you the supplies that are needed for the lesson. And usually it's nothing more than maybe some crayons or scissors or paper. And this one you would need, it said some seeds for growing, like sunflower seeds or green beans or something basic, and paper cups to put it in, and a little bit of soil or a medium for the seeds to grow. So moving on, this is lesson 3 that I just put in, parts of a plant. The objectives for this is help the children identify the basic parts of a plant and their functions. So you can see there's a really neat diagram in here too, and they get to identify different roots, how plants grow, or how, like, this is a tomato plant on this page. So there's a diagram of seed, the fruit, the flowers, stem, the leaves. So really neat. So, and then they have to do a plant observation. So it's kind of cool. Moving on, lesson 4 says seeds. The objective is help the children understand the parts of a seed, different types of seeds, and seed dispersal. We've got some neat little diagrams here, like parts of a seed, and it has identification on that. And then we also have another chart that has to do with monocot versus diacot chart. So that's going to be neat, kind of like teaching that, showing examples. And seed dispersal right here. So that's something that looks like I might have to cut that out when we get to that lesson. And then also the page after that says seed dissecting, what I think the seed might look like inside. And it has like this area for the kids maybe to draw a picture and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun. Now moving on, lesson 5, flowers. Part 1 says the objective is help the children identify the parts of a flower and its functions. This lesson is quite pretty. I like all the flower images in it, and it's going to be neat. It has a diagram about the different parts of flowers, and also supplies needed for this lesson are pretty short. You got scissors, crayons, coloring pencils, glue, and possibly a real flower. That is something that you could just even go outside, and if you see dandelions outside growing, have the kids go out and pick dandelions or some weed that's growing if you don't happen to have flowers in your yard. So that would work. There is an optional microscope activity for this lesson, and a couple of these lessons in this unit have that as well. But we don't have a microscope, so we might be skipping that part of it during this because we're doing it during the summer. We're on to lesson 6, flowers, part 2. The objective is help the children gain a greater appreciation for the beauty of flowers and identify different types of flowers. In this lesson, they have you do a little activity where you can do pressed flowers with your kids, and that looks kind of fun. And then also I really, really like all the beautiful images that they have in this. They have this woman in a gorgeous field of flowers walking, and then they have this beautiful images of different flowers that the kids get to identify, which is really fun. Remember that extra page that they had taped onto this unit? Well, that goes right in here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add that in there. I don't even think I'm going to take out the other one. I'll just cover it up with this page. So that works. There you go. Lesson 7, leaves. The objectives are help the children learn the characteristics and classification of leaves. Looks like the supplies needed is a bag to gather leaves, which is optional, and some crayons. So pretty basic for this lesson. I love these art images that they added to this lesson. That's going to be really helpful when I go to teach this with my boys. They're going to really like that. So it's just beautiful to see some gorgeous pieces of art. And they do that periodically throughout all the different units and everything that I do with this curriculum. But here we are, we're putting together our leaf diagram, and it looks like we're also going to be putting together the leaf classification chart, which will be great. And I can show the kids that, and I can see we have a mini book to put together as well. Here's our mini book called Changing Leaves, and I'm just going to go ahead and gather up all the pages for the mini book and go cut them on my cutting board. I thought this would be a good opportunity to just kind of say, don't be overwhelmed teaching lessons in this book at all. Basically, you can just open up your lesson for the day, and I am only doing one lesson, a science lesson a week with my kids. We do year-round schooling, and I'm just doing it once a week, so I'll open up the lessons. Sometimes we do it twice a week, just depends. But when you open up the lesson and then you just start from the top and go through it, and to somebody that hasn't done this before, looking at it, you're probably going, oh my gosh, it looks like so much going on for teaching. Well, no, because I'm just reading what is on those maybe 2 pages, which doesn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. And there might be a small little activity that just takes 5-10 minutes. Maybe the mini book takes, 3 or 4 minutes to read. And then we have a little discussion. These lessons do not take as long as you might think. So you can, some of these lessons, 15-20 minutes, some of them maybe a half hour. If they're longer than that, you can just split it into 2 days, if that makes it easier. So, and a lot of times they aren't longer than a half hour. So go for it. You can do this. Lesson 8 right here is called photosynthesis. Help the children understand what photosynthesis is and how the process works. This lesson has an optional microscope activity as well in it. But what I really like is there's a chart in this lesson for photosynthesis, and it's kind of neat. It has a plant that has sunlight coming on it, which is energy from the sunlight, and it's showing water absorption at the bottom. And it's showing how carbon dioxide, which is absorbed from the air, goes to the plant, and it releases oxygen into the air, O2. So anyway, really neat. So this will be great for the kids to learn. This is for lesson 9 now, plant cells. Help the children learn the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell, as well as basic cell functions. This has 2 pictures of the same chart. One has the animal cells and the plant cells with the identification next to it, and the other one they get to fill in. So that's going to be something that I'll probably go and make a copy of that page, and then they'll be able to write next to it. And that just helps them to remember the cells of animals and plants and identifying. Now we're on to lesson 10, plant classification. Help the children to learn the basic classification of plants and learn how plants are named. So that sounds kind of neat. I'm going to look forward a little bit. I haven't done this lesson yet. Plant classifications. Oh, there's a cute little chart here that you can see there's little boxes. Well, next to it, they get to cut those ones out and then glue them where they go. So I like that. That's great. And then next to that, there's some extra charts for the Latin words for some of the plants and what's in a name. So that's going to be fun too. These are great little charts that they have here that we'll be going over when we get to that lesson. Lesson 11, growing plants. Help the children learn what affects plant growth and different plants that grow around the world. This lesson has an optional microscope activity during it, but we have to put together a mini book. And the mini book is titled Plants Around the World. So I'm just going to go ahead and collect all of my pages and go cut them on the cutting board. So I just wanted to mention how a lesson kind of works in The Good and the Beautiful. There is nothing that you technically need to prepare, research, or do to just teach a lesson. You open it up. There is like 2 or 3 pages of reading out loud to your kids. That is teaching them. It shows them things. There's an activity and then maybe a book. It's seriously so simple. You don't have to do anything extra above and beyond and spend extra time researching the information, which is great. It's all done for you. I'm just double checking here that my pages are in the correct order, even though I technically already stapled it. But then go ahead and find where it goes and put that in the protective sheet. And let's move on to our next lesson, which is about lesson 12, and it's about trees. It says, help the children learn the benefits of trees and the parts of trees. Oh, there's a really, really cute little leaf. I think they might even be cutting these out, these little leaves, and they might glue it around this tree. I'm just guessing. We haven't gotten to this lesson yet, but that's kind of what it looks like there. There's also a mini book for this lesson. So there's some different charts too that you can see here. There's another diagram that we'll be filling in with the tree for the kids and talking about the circles and the rings on a trunk for trees. So I like that. That's great. Here's the mini book, and it's called Amazing Trees. We're going to grab all the pages and go cut them up. I was just going to mention, don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below, because I'm going to be going over all things to do with homeschooling, how to homeschool, what curriculum I'm using. I'm going to go over overviews on curriculum, teaching you how to do this and making it in a way that's very simple, a simple process. So if you like this type of stuff, or if you want to learn about this type of stuff, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any videos that I'm putting out. And I would love to get to know you, so please feel free to leave comments below too. I would love to hear any feedback. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and find where our tree book needs to go so that when I get to the lesson, I just pull it out and it's ready to go. So this totally speeds up the process, trust me. Make these mini books as you put together your unit. It's really helpful. Okay, number 13, which is the last lesson in our series for botany. It's lesson 13. It's poisonous and carnivorous plants. So this is help the children learn the characteristics of carnivorous plants and recognize common poisonous plants. Fantastic, right? Because your kids play outside or you take them camping. Maybe it's a good chart for even us adults to know some of this stuff. So yeah, that'll be a really good lesson to go over. I like it. All right, the hard part's basically done. You've put everything into the protective sheets. Now we just need to put it into a 3-ring binder. This is an old 3-ring binder. I think my daughter had used it at school and she doesn't need it anymore. So it's kind of a smaller one. So I'm going to have to put half of the pages onto one side of the rings, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the other half of the pages and put them the other direction so I can fit them all in. Isn't that fun? So we're just going to do that because, why not? I just wanted to say, I know if you're watching this video right now, you're either curious about homeschooling or you're actually looking at this botany unit because you're trying to decide if this is something that you wanted to get from The Good and the Beautiful. And I do recommend their science units. I've used quite a few of them so far and I love them. So they're great. They're all right around, 13 to maybe 20 lessons, and you can just fit them in during your school week. So, and I'll be teaching you how to do that in other videos. That's not a video we're going to talk about or technique we're going to talk about right now. I'm going to teach you how to homeschool and how to make it as part of your day, and that it doesn't overwhelm you and it doesn't take up the whole day. It shouldn't take up the whole day. It should just be less than 2 hours. You have everything done. everything done with the kids. So watch my videos. I'm going to be teaching you how to do this so it's efficient and you can do it, and it's fun for you and it's fun for the kids, because if you're not having fun with homeschooling, then that will rub off on the kids too, and then they won't have fun learning. So it kind of goes hand in glove together. So here we are at the very beginning, and this is just your table of contents, so you can reference what you need, and we're going to look at that supplies needed. So it tells you right at the very top is a high quality microscope, glass slides, and cupboards. And that is something that is optional. It's going to be used throughout a few of the lessons. I might get one just to do, but we'll see. And you can see here, it talks about all the different supplies that you might need. Like lesson 1 didn't have anything, it says none. But lesson 2, there's stuff like scissors and glue and water and paper, and then back on the next page, you might need a bag to gather leaves or some crayons or, seeds and tape. So kind of basic stuff, and it should be stuff that you possibly already even have at your home. Lesson 9 had some interesting supplies. It says a Lego and a small piece of lumber, any size will do, and a small piece of celery and fingernail clippers. Yeah, anyway, that was kind of fun. And I'm just kind of flipping through here to kind of show you. You don't have to look at that supply list until you go, say, to your lesson and you're opening up your first lesson. You can just look right at the lesson. It tells you all the supplies that you need. It tells you if there's any preparation that needs to be done too, whether there's a mini book, which you've already put together if you have something like this done, or you need a certain chart for the kids. And the supplies. I mean, that just kind of, it makes it really basic. It makes it very efficient and fast, so that the rest of the time is just, you can just sit down and teach the kids when you come to your day of the week that you do a science unit. And this is done family style. Again, this is 4 grades, K through 8th grade. So they have a bunch of different science units, but you teach your kids in a family style setting. So it's just, you teach them all together at the same time once, and you're done with that lesson. It's fantastic. And guess what? This book, once you've put it together, this means that you can circle back to this same unit for botany a second time, in a couple years, like say 3 or 4 years from now, and you're doing science again. Refresh yourself and teach the kids all these lessons again. You've already put your book together. You don't have to buy it again. You have it ready to go. And that saves you so much money. Trust me. So fantastic. I love it. And I hope you give this series a try. Really, I hope you try out some of their science units in The Good and the Beautiful. They've done a fantastic job putting it together, straightforward, nothing that you personally really have to prepare. This is probably the most work. Putting this little book together took me maybe 45 minutes to an hour, because I was also recording it and showing things to you on here. But other than that, it's very fast to do this, and I highly recommend it. Thank you for watching.